125. It's the 25th of January, 2022. I'm Todd Ault. This is Jason Bartholomew.
We have one.
Jason just working away there.
Dude, we got so much stuff going on.
We got a lot of stuff going on. But today we're talking Bitcoin. Why does it say 178? No. No, well, this is not an episode of Risk On. It is Risk On show, but we're talking Bitcoin. Can we have Bitcoin in the background here? Can we just put that in the background? Here, go to my background, put it up on the screen. What? I know, but can you put my screen on the background? What? How do you get you guys do it all the time, right?
Well, you don't do it from your screen.
Here, you want to do it from mine?
I can't do it from the computer.
Well, how'd you do that?
You got to send me a picture and I got to put it in there.
No, but that's right there right now.
Because Chris was on.
Oh.
See, we learn all the things that don't work when we try to do it.
That makes sense, though.
Oh, wait, if I stand like this and I hold my hand out the window, then it works. It's not your guys' fault. You guys don't know what I want to do each time, right?
I'll never have any. Yeah, Brett, I mean, these guys tear down and set up studios in different time zones. I'm not going to ever complain.
What I just don't understand is how come I can't see the show live. We're live right now. Oh, there. See, it says live streaming 178.
We're on, dude. Drunk Tehran's on the 3rd.
Where do you see it?
Devon Wright, look.
Okay.
Refresh. F5.
Bitcoin.
You just passed it. It's the very first video. There it is.
Look at you. Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
He's on it.
I'd be more worried that he can see exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, wait. How can you see that? Hey, Chris Wu, how are you, buddy?
Good afternoon. Doing well.
We are all about Bitcoin today. And is it possible that thing I sent you, Brett, we can pull up on the screen?
Yep.
So this is a Bitcoin sensitivity analysis. I don't know. Jason, is it going to help that I get like 1,000 questions on this topic and I'm going to put it up here? You think I'll still get questions?
You'll still get questions.
Okay. So, Joe, do you see the analysis there?
I'm looking at it.
Okay. It says 20,000 at $20,000 per Bitcoin. BitNile Inc., the miner, would mine and make. Oh, can you go put it back? Can you split it? There. Okay. All right. 20,000. We'd bring in 84,800,000 worth of Bitcoin. At 65,000, we'd bring in 275 million worth of Bitcoin. Now the difficulties went up a little bit, so you have to make sure that you know with difficulty, more difficulty, less coin. We're just trying to prove a point. This is kind of the reason why we got into it. And the net analysis is that at 20,000, we'd still make $54 million, right?
Yeah, if that's what you're asking me, yeah, that's about right, obviously.
Right, and that $54 million, it says this is net of power costs. So effectively, for some reason, the power cost would be much higher as a percentage, obviously, because the price is down, right?
Correct.
Makes sense?
Yep.
We want to be able to eat. Oh, look at Drunk Trent. Hey, congratulations to you, my friend. Can we help you sell more of those?
We will.
Drunk Terrain, can we help you sell more of those? Chris, I wanted to bring you in because obviously since you and I were in Dubai, Bitcoin prices have fallen from a high of 69,000. Now Joe was there too, and Joe guaranteed me we'd be at 100,000 by year end. Or no, it was 80,000.
It was 70, and I missed it by like
you missed it by
$100.
$1,000.
$1,000.
Right.
I wanted to hit that one's better for Joe.
Can you turn on the thing over here? The noise maker? Yep. So Chris, I wanted to know from your this is me and Joe. Joe, you got the firing squad because it did not hit 70,000, Joe.
You know, on the plus side, for that $1,000 didn't hit, I was out for 28 days setting up a huge mining farm, which mines you Bitcoin. So I think we're even.
What?
I forgive you.
Thank you.
No, it's not for the watchers now. I know you guys are saying this is not on normal time, but all this will be edited and we'll put it out there. And it's so rare that we get Chris Wu's time. So, Chris, your thoughts on this pullback and the pain involved with Bitcoin right now?
My thoughts, I mean, I'm not a myopic price watcher, although I definitely pay attention to where it's trading. And when it gets to a place where, like it is in the last week, then I just stack more. So personally, I took the opportunity, from 41 to 37 to 34, wherever, just buying opportunistically, because I don't think about Bitcoin's price other than what I think it's going to be long term. And I'm not a prognosticator, but it could be anywhere from 100,000 to 2 million. And what's the time frame? The time frame could be, 3 to 6 years, 3 to 10 years. I mean, it's not as germane to me in terms of what the day-to-day. If Bitcoin fell to 20,000, I would buy more. If it fell to 15,000, I would just buy more. So I tend not to focus on the price.
Does it weird you out a little bit about this? I mean, I'm trying to get the argument in my head because we only have this really, as you use the word, I'm going to use the word you use, myopic view. Myopically, we've only, the people on this earth, okay, the people that are alive today have known this U.S. fiat currency for a certain period of time. But there was probably a time in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, especially probably the 1900s, 10s, 20s, 30s, where people were fearful that paper, which back then was backed by gold, really could have no value. And countries have experienced this. And so when we have this like big pullback from Bitcoin prices being at 69,000, but up from say 20,000, this has there's so much correlation to me with the adoption of the internet. I recall so early where I didn't want to put my credit card online. Lots of people didn't want to use their credit card. They would believe that it would just be a scam, that you couldn't buy from them, you wouldn't really get delivery. I used to say, why would I order a pizza when I can just pick up the phone? Now I don't even pick up the phone. So I'm trying hard to have a conversation about the way that someone should think. And I know you're a smart thinker. You're an Ivy League educated guy, and I don't know if your school's actually in the Ivy League. Isn't it like NYU or Chicago, one of those things? Who cares, whatever, one of those big schools you went to, with all the extra little things at the end where you have more tassels than everybody else. Whatever, man, okay?
Tassels.
I like that.
Okay,
I like that.
my whole point here is that I have, unfortunately, it's my fault. I take full responsibility for it. But I've unfortunately adopted this shareholder base. I'm more of a sort of Buffett icon guy. People don't realize I've held like my BitNile shares now for 5 years. I've never sold a single share. And I've never sold my Avalanche shares, my MTIX International shares. I've never sold any Alt and Company shares. Mm-hmm. I've never sold a single share of Alzamend. And so yet people associate me with trading because I do take advantage of trading opportunities like I did yesterday. But I have a really long horizon on Bitcoin. And we invested some is its point about 180 million?
Give or take.
And I'm looking at BitNile's trading going, I believe people realize that we put more cash into miners than our market cap.
Yes.
I mean, we know that, we've disclosed that. And so I'm trying to just reset everyone, right? You can see that I'm going to want to edit this because I'm like, guys, I'm going to put this like in video and we're not going to forget this. And that is, we do not have like a 1 month time horizon. I simply don't care where Bitcoin is today or tomorrow. I educate people on it, but I believe that it's going to become a form of global digital currency. Now, yesterday, Kalpana was on the program. Mm-hmm. Kalpana Pot. She's like a science geek and actress and a model, and she talked about there's 300,000 planets in our system now. We're discovering more and more every day. I just think this is going to be the form of our world global currency and global store of value. I don't see something better than that that's going to pop out there. And if it is, I don't think it's going to be the only form. Maybe there's one that's going to be transacting. But Chris, I'm trying to get people to rethink their frame of mind, at least when it comes to BitNile. You kind of know what we're trying to accomplish. We have kind of these two bifurcated businesses, and that is we have mining operations, data center, DeFi, which is Earnity, which you brought us. So far, so good. And then on the other side, we have Ault Alliance, where we own all of our hospitality properties, our lender, our finance business, Turn on Green, our defense businesses, the hotels, etc. We're going to try to separate them. But I'm trying to get people to think about why we went all in on BitNile, and your philosophy on the way. Why are you continuing to buy it on the way down or up? And what are your I don't want to use the word recommendations, but what can you help people think about in terms of time frame in their head when they're putting Bitcoin in their portfolio? It's not a recommendation from Chris. It's just kind of what he's doing and why.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll spare everybody the preambles, but like while you were talking, I was thinking about the internet adoption, and there's a little bit of a saying in Bitcoin land, and a number of thought leaders, have adopted the term slowly, then suddenly. And so I analogize that a little bit to what happened to retail. And it wasn't that long ago that, we obviously knew that the amount of square footage allocated to retail and every kind of clothing store, every kind of department store, and you would think that department stores would have gone obsolete way before they did, but it really took the global recession where people changed their habits, where they stayed home more, or even the pandemic, where it really accelerated all things that, they were already trending that way. So Amazon became, a big force well before they cut the heart out of maybe 20, 30, 40% of retail. And before that, Walmart was eating everybody's lunch and pushing all the marginal stores out. But if you think about the timeline in terms of when retail got hollowed out, and if we talk about total transactions on e-commerce today, we're still looking at sort of 30, 40% of consumer goods. And that's with the benefit of the pandemic, right? So human behavior, changes over a continuum of time, but it appears slow to the human perception. And then suddenly it changes where, everybody was using BlackBerries, and it was utterly prevalent. And the idea that BlackBerry would never be around, 5, 6, 7 years from the last time you were using BlackBerry was sort of anathema, because you're just holding this device where you thought, I've got all-in-one here. And by the way, my thumbs are perfectly sort of geared to typing on the BlackBerry. So it would be crazy for me to adopt the iPhone, because then I'd have to type differently, right? And then all of a sudden, my wife is like, oh, well, you're going to get it because I want to keep track of you because of this fine phone thing. Whether it's one app or like 5 apps, then like, okay, then your thumbs start doing, and then slowly, and then suddenly, right? Everything changes. So that's the perception of the human brain in terms of what's happening. And we just see sort of the inexorable force that is Bitcoin, the adoption rate, that's something that's, better to pay attention to than the price, although you can't look it up in a ticker and saying, okay, there's, 3 million households who have at least 0.00, like 1 sat or something, or, so many people have transacted, and then a year later, that number is up by X amount.
Hey,
that's what I think about time.
That's a great analogy. I got to tell you, the BlackBerry analogy, wow, that is a great analogy, Chris. Really, really solid. I We're a good thing we recorded that. I mean, that's really good, actually, right? That you think, wow, the BlackBerry's not going to be displaced, and then one day you wake up and there is no BlackBerry, or you don't even see them anywhere. Joe, what is your thought process on? I mean, to the person saying, here's the problem with Bitcoin, that, like, I think Charlie Munger said it had no value and it was rat poisoning at 3,000, then went to 60,000. And then I hear other people saying tulip bulbs, but they, like, the tulip bulb mania in the Netherlands, it's not the same equation. This is a global phenomenon where trillions of dollars have traded, trillions of dollars of market cap have been created. This isn't like, it's not a bulb that grows an iris. This is like it's the wrong analogy, because we all acknowledge that there's a use for cryptocurrency. We all acknowledge that there's a byproduct for it. We all acknowledge that people were going to buy online, but we didn't know how much. We all acknowledge that it has to exist. There's no way you can put that genie back in the bottle. Joe, what are obviously you're not an expert in investing, but you are a technologist.
I think that I think two things on this. I think that, we've gotten smarter as a crypto community, and we no longer call it blockchain and stuff. We now try and get people to adopt Web 3.0 because it's familiar to them and makes them feel better, right? There was Web 1.0, Web 2.0. Now NFTs, blockchain, it's all Web 3.0. So, the community is trying to get easier adoption. What do I think about Bitcoin in general or cryptocurrency versus fiat? I think it's back to Chris's phone analogy. I believe it's, how long did it take me to get my grandparents and my parents to stop using their home phone and get an actual cell phone? Right? Your largest pool of money is in all the older generation, and they just don't trust it. I mean, how long? Someone like me who is buying stuff online, when it was first available to buy online, because I was young, and my parents saying, I'll never buy anything online. I won't give these people my credit cards. I won't do any of that. I'm not saying it's an old person problem, but I'm saying that, the new generation is now comfortable with doing everything online, everything on their phone, investing on their phone, doing all that.
That's all they do.
So it's just an adoption rate. I mean, it's the speed of adoption and how it's going to happen. And once you get a majority of those kids trading in cryptocurrency, you'll be forced into it as a trader, as an investor, as anything. And at that point, you may be a little bit too late. The cost will be high.
Well, cash is sort of obsolete now, Jason. My youngest kids, if I gave them cash, they almost don't know what to do with it.
Yes, casinos. Have you seen the casinos going to? You could swipe your card at the table. Very dangerous.
Stupid Resorts World.
Can we talk about that real quickly? That's a great analogy. So, Resorts World was just built, and at Resorts World, all the chips are RFID'd, right?
Yeah, yep.
And they can tell what chips you're betting, and they can show all your winnings.
They
it's
track
a little
everything,
creepy, right?
Yeah. Also, you generally you hand the dealer cash and then you buy in for the chips. Now you actually can swipe your card at the table, and then they will give you chips to play with.
Oh, it's way worse than that. You can actually choose to tie your debit card or credit card to your player's card. They have kiosks to do so.
Wow. 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Yeah. Something.
They're encouraging that. That's a slippery slope for sure.
Yeah, but you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So there's a question here, Jason. I'm gonna go around the table. I'm gonna ask Chris and you, but I'm gonna ask you first, Jason. This gentleman, Dr. Wyckoff, I think, if I say it right, Wyckoff. If mining is so profitable, there's not a debate here. The numbers are mathematical.
Okay.
But okay, if mining is so profitable, why invest in hotels? Get a 10% return if lucky. Well, actually, if we were only getting a 10% return, we wouldn't have bought those hotels. So that's actually a fallacy right there, because we bought them at a really competitive discount, and our internal rate of return is much higher. I'll let Chris comment on that in a second. But this goes to why is it so difficult for me to explain to people that we're a holding company, and we're going to break the holding company up to spin out a pure play, which is Nile, and move Alt Alliance over. But inside Nile right now, through Alt Alliance, we have AdTech Pharma, Alzheimer Neuro, Turn On Green, Gresham Worldwide, Agree, which is all global real estate equities, Digital Power Lending, we just have so many other assets. And the suggestion here is why not put all your money in Bitcoin mining, which would mean that as a shareholder over the last 4 years, when I've told people we weren't going to do that, they would ask a question is, why aren't you putting it all in one place? Which I get. I mean, that frustrates people. And that's probably, you probably said it a little better by saying, well, why aren't you just going to make something a pure play that I can invest in only? I think that's really what you mean, because I don't just invest in Bitcoin. But Jason, your thoughts on that question?
Let me take that one. So, Dr. Wyckoff, so for example, why wouldn't, I played minor league baseball. If you didn't know, I'm telling you now. Why wouldn't a manager just grab like 12 guys that throw nothing but pure octane gas 100 miles an hour and just run those guys out to the mound? They throw the hardest, they're more likely to just get maximum outs, maximum leverage. The answer is you don't. You have to manage around different situations. So when you're a baseball manager, you like to have a nice, crafty left-handed pitcher to get left-handed hitters out. You like to have these finesse guys because they're going to attack hitters in a different way, and they're going to get maximum results based on the math. Well, here at the holding company, we like to make investments in different types of facilities that are going to yield different types of profits from a different source. So the hotels, obviously, that's going to be a hard asset investment that we found that's undervalued in our opinion, and that's going to yield a different type of result. It might not be as much alpha as the upside of a Bitcoin, but then again, technically it probably isn't as much risk involved. So here at Risk On, we like to synergize our abilities to make different types of investments to try to yield different types of results. Same thing in baseball, same thing in anything in life, if you're going to have risk.
And what's interesting is, if he said, well, the market's not rewarding now for that diversification, we would not disagree.
That's
that part's
true.
Different conversation.
Okay. Well, if a
right?
pitcher made a great pitch, right? He nibbled on the corner just perfectly, and then the hitter made an even better swing on the ball, and he was able to fight it off, and he was able to get a base hit or hit the gap and score a guy. Well, that stuff happens in the market too. If you had an efficient market, if it wasn't inefficient, then we would all be a bunch of robots. We wouldn't make any money. And you guys know I play poker, right? If everybody played poker, perfect mathematics, analytically, they were all the same, then there wouldn't be any efficiency in poker as well. So why would I even bother playing?
Chris, what do you think of that question? Because I do understand Dr. Wyckoff's concern if you said, well, we're not being rewarded for these other things. What are your thoughts about his question?
I mean, for us, the rationale, the strategic rationale has also to do with sort of the weather, right? And the weather has been cloudy for a long time given, inflation. So we're looking at industries and assets that are inflation resistant. And when I look at the pandemic and what we experienced as a company is that commercial real estate really was the area that was probably the biggest beneficiary of $4.5 trillion of printed money injected into the economy by the Fed. And it really saved the bacon of property owners and landholders and people who provide services to commercial real estate. So within commercial real estate, we looked at where can we get the most alpha. And right now, hotels in the gateway city are trading higher than pre-pandemic levels, but we felt like going into a tertiary market that has, very good regional dynamics, is exhibiting growth, we were still getting significant discounts to 2019, hospitality values. And therefore the cap rate that we invested in, especially with capital allocated for property improvement plans, is that we think that, the asset is going to be very inflation, resistant, and we'll get, we'll hit, our internal hurdle rates. And so I just want to add that flavor that in and of itself, there was a strategic rationale for investing in commercial real estate, and particularly hospitality, where we think we'll get both cap rate compression as well as help from inflation in terms of our net operating income. So we get it on both ends. And then we get the benefit of leverage, which is hard to do with, other investments that previously All Global would invest in. We wanted, the benefits of financial debt.
So we are trying to go down the path of separating it. I acknowledge myself, and listen, I'm just in as much pain as you guys. I've never sold any Nile stock. Chris got paid in Nile stock. Jason, all of us get paid there. Chris wrote checks. I wrote checks. I think, Jason, you wrote a check. The lack of separation in terms of pure play crypto DeFi data center, it should theoretically unlock value, and we're seeing it too and saying, hey, this is too good of an opportunity to cloud it with other things. So we're agreeing that it should become a pure play. But back to Bitcoin, we're going to have a lot of people at the conference coming up, and I want to talk to you about that. We got a conference May 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. I'm going to be there. Charles Payne's going to be there. Brad Lee's going to be there. We're going to be adding Chris Wu is going to do a teach-in. Now, Chris Wu, president of Alt Alliance, head of alternative investment for the company, really is honestly, I feel like I should call him Professor Wu, because when you sit with him and you listen to him, you feel better understanding. Like, I'm kind of the crazy guy out there doing deals, and he's the reasonable, like, even though I think I'm older than him, I think I am actually. He's the more.
I've got you. I'm senior.
Are you senior to me? Okay.
Yeah.
So he's the more senior, calm, like he's the yin and yang. We're yin and yang a little bit, and in the middle there's Will. But Chris is the more deliberate guy. He's going to be doing a teach-in. And he's, Chris is really connected. People don't realize who Chris's friends are in Bitcoin. Really connected guy. Hey, let's roll the conference tape here. And you guys get pre-signed up for the conference if you can. That thing is ticking by in terms of timing. Not a lot of people there, but we might have a sailor there. Hey, I'll be doing a podcast with the founder of Litecoin, Charlie Lee, soon. I think tomorrow, actually. So I'm pretty excited about that. Just did one with Kalpana Pot. Well, that was really great. Well, she's just incredible. Crypto Joe, you have set up the mining operations in Michigan, and when we looked at an article today from Bloomberg that talked about 23% of the miners are losing money now, which made no sense to me. Well, it looks like we're profitable, and I think you've said we're profitable down to 10,000 a coin. Is that still accurate? Is that around that number?
Difficulty's gone up. It would depend on a bunch of factors, labor, infrastructure.
But we're still profitable below 20,000.
We are.
Yeah. So can you talk to us about some of the costs that go into mining besides electricity? Let's start with electricity and kind of go from there.
Well, so electricity is kind of your primary cost, but you've got facilities costs, you've got manpower costs, you have infrastructure costs, like where you're keeping them. Then you have repair costs to, if your machines are not under warranty any longer. So, all that blends in, and when you take all that, if you're leasing, you're obviously paying a much higher price, right? Because you're leasing space.
Is that when you're hosting it somewhere?
Yeah,
Hosting your miners?
It depends on how you host it, but every hoster, including us, if we ever did host, right? You want that white glove service because it gains you a pretty big VIG on on the discrepancy between your electricity price and your all-in price, and nobody really ever publishes all-in. They hide it in the, the dynamics. That's a little bit of a rant of mine for these other miners. I can see where it's possible that some of the miners are losing money because there are some very, very big miners out there with massive infrastructure and massive costs. And, we're as far as small goes, we're not super small, but we're on the smaller side, and we're a much leaner operation, and we own our own facility. And, we've gotten we've really hammered out some good deals on equipment and labor. So,
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the place. Joe, can you talk about with Jason the global hash rate? I mean, I'm confused about Russia. I'm confused about Kazakhstan. I'm confused about actually what's happening there. Is there a way we can give people an update as to actually what's taking place with global hash rate? I saw that CleanSpark just announced that they're at 2 exahash now.
Yeah, they're at 2 exahash now. Reports today, Kazakhstan power down, Bitcoin miners blackouts. That happened today. I haven't seen that reflect the global hash rate yet. Joe, where are we at on global hash rate? Like 200?
Yeah, we're at 199.2 exahash right now, and it's all over the map, man. And I'm sure Kazakhstan has a lot to do with it. Russia, Ukraine,
For sure.
Google's now going after the people that are hiding in people's instances, and they think that 86% of their compromised instances are all Bitcoin miners. So you're seeing us jump to 223 exahash and then go back down to 160 and then back up and then back down. So we're going to settle somewhere once this is all done.
Is this next round of difficulty going down or up?
So right now it's going down, and that's all I can say. I can't guess. Look, 5 days before, no, actually 3 days before, it was supposed to go down 8%, and it jumped by like 7% because a lot of machines came back online. And the algorithm only cares, am I over 10 minutes to solve the problem, or am I under 10 minutes? And that's how it adjusts its rate.
Can you give us any more details on that? I mean, if you can't, you can't.
Meaning, when you ask for more detail, are you asking why?
Like the price of Bitcoin is down from 69,000 to 36,665 as we look at it today. This morning was 37. I saw it yesterday at 32 and some change. Clearly, Bitcoin value has been affected.
Why is
I'm asking,
why is difficulty going up?
is it going to go down or up?
Up. Honestly, my true belief is up. I mean, for the same reason you're a Bitcoin believer. Everybody knows. The companies that have the wherewithal to stay in know that this is going back up, that this is almost a cyclical trend, right? A lot of people try and apply market policies to it, and for the short term, those work. But if you look at Bitcoin charts going all the way back to the beginning of time, these cycles happen all the time, and we try and apply fundamental fiat market fundamentals to these coins, and you really can't. I don't think. I mean, Chris from a financial perspective could probably speak better to that, but I keep telling you, you see it go up and go down, and when way back in 2019 when it was all the way down, I begged you to buy, but when normal non-crazy people wouldn't. So I think that's a factor, that all the people who are in mining know what mining is, and all the people who aren't.
If we're going to have 20,600 miners this year, 4,000 of the XP green miners, the S19 green miners,
Yep.
Yeah, 46.
and we're going to have 16,000 of the SJ19 Pros. We're going to have 20,000 miners, and difficulty is going to go up. How are we going to make money? Can you explain to everybody how long you expect these miners to last and what that will look like?
So with the global chip shortage, I mean, they're talking about these machines now lasting somewhere up. Normally it would be 3 to 5 years, depending on difficulty and price, obviously. We expect price to go up. It's no guarantee it's going to, but we expect price to go up. As Chris talked to earlier, we have no idea where it's going to go. But even some of the largest bankers think it finishes between $75,000 and $100,000 this year, and those are conservative bankers.
So that would be a big difference. Hey, can we go back to that sensitivity chart?
Yeah.
So let's just say that one more time. Hold on. Let's bring that sensitivity chart back up. So you're saying that if Bitcoin it could go back to 65,000, that's what people are telling you.
Right.
So you're saying we might be mining at BitNile 275 million of Bitcoin.
Well, and
Of course, the difficulty would be higher.
right. Well, it doesn't mean it's going to be higher because there's a global there's a global shortage of chips, and that's what we're talking to. So there are a limited amount of machines, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying who or what, but a couple of manufacturers have come out and said that they expect some of their loads not to hit till 2024 and 2025 of machines already sold.
No, I know. I saw that some people were quoting us until 2024 for delivery. Hey, Chris, you happen to be connected to probably one of the most famous people in Bitcoin. We're not going to say his name, but we are going to kind of wind down. We're going to kind of wind down on your outtake of. You've had conversations with one of the smartest people I know. I know you play a little tennis with him. We won't get into who it is, but I'm curious as to your thoughts on what you've learned with him about Bitcoin, and maybe you could share what is probably one of the smartest guys who got in really early and wrote a big check for it. Kind of what you're thinking, what he was thinking.
I haven't had deep dive conversations with him other than, on the tennis court or with a cocktail. But, his belief, which I share, is simply that fiat will be disintermediated over time, and he has a very significant chunk of net worth tied up in Bitcoin, and obviously he's never sold. So, but I mean, as I'm just listening here, like all these things that, we learn about our environment sort of teaches us that the conditions which made Bitcoin an innovation, it really is a good petri dish for its continued upward progress. And we think about the volatility that's going to deter a certain amount of people, if not the majority of people, but it's volatile up. So people complain about volatility, but it's volatile up, and its history proves it. And in everyday life, which things that we can relate to. My daughter is very upset because I've been talking about the concept of inflation, but she's extremely bothered by the fact that the store on the corner used to sell coffee for $2.50, and now it's $4.50. So she has to find like one of those carts that she can get her iced coffee for $1.75. But she has to do a lot of shoe leather, which is another term that's associated with inflation. So I go back to the last time that I was on the show, and our central bankers have convinced a certain large narrative in the world that this inflation is transitory, which is a word that is sort of make-believe, and it's not something that we're experiencing, that this is transitory, because already it's sort of transitory for like a year since we started printing, or a year and a half. So that's hardly transitory. And the reality is that they talk about, debottlenecking supply chains to Asia, and the world supply chains are disrupted. Well, how about, you pile $4.5 trillion into the global economy just in the US, and every other bank has to print because they're subordinated nodes to us. You basically have a demand shock. You don't have a supply shock. It's a demand shock. And for that reason, the inflation is not transitory, it's just permanent. So, they're going to jawbone the financial markets where people have to, quote unquote, go risk off. But so what if the Fed raises rates 2-3 times this year? I mean, you're going from 0 to 75 bips at the window. What does that do to the 10-year? The 10-year goes from 175 basis points to 250 basis points. Is that going to Volcker the environment, the economy, the global economy? Hardly. When Paul Volcker was in office, he raised interest rates until they were in the high teens. So if you were buying long bonds then, you were clipping, 18%, 20% coupons for 30 freaking years. That was like the best trade. And as interest rates came down, and those bonds traded through par, they traded up to 120, 130, 140, 180 dollars. So that was a terrific trade to buy the 30-year, because Volcker was going to do that. If his son was Fed chairman and he instituted the same policies, we would basically create global pandemic economic impact, and therefore it will never happen. And so my thesis simply is that transitory inflation is permanent inflation, and that's just new Fed doubles.
I'm gonna connect a dot somewhere. Someone really smart told me, and you guys are all gonna think I'm crazy, but let me connect the dot for you, okay? There's an important announcement that came out from GM today, okay? We're gonna connect a weird dot for you, right? And then Jason's gonna talk about valuation. We're gonna cut out of here.
Yeah.
GM, let's go to my computer. GM to spend $6.6 billion on EV plant investments to dethrone Tesla as electric car sales by 2025. What is that? You went to my screen here.
That's my screen. We're going to get into that after.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So why is this important? What is GM saying? They're going to have EV electric cars, right? So why is that connected to Bitcoin? Bitcoin is valued based on electricity. The world is going to electrify cars. Bitcoin as a store of value, you get it from mining, you get it from spending money, and then the value is in the network, right? The value right now for fiat is that I get green dollars or bank, and I go, I believe the U.S. government's going to honor these. Other people just honor them. If I give Joe $100, he says, I'll take $100 of your fiat currency. He can say, I'll take $100 of Bitcoin. He can easily say, I'll take $100 of those fish I have in my pond in the backyard. He can say, I'll take 3 of your tortoises for $100. It's all based on value. And right now, the world is switching to electrify. Now, what a coincidence that we're in Turn on Green. Jason, you really have obviously helped that business a lot. And so is Marcus and Amos. But Jason, really, you're out there bringing contracts in. We are selling electric EV chargers, and people plug it in, they get that energy, and they put it in their car, and value is created, right? And that's the same thing happening in Bitcoin. I know that's a tough connection for people, but you got to realize that a store value, when you put something into a battery, you lose about 2% of it a month. If you transfer it over a line, you lose about 6% of that transfer. With Bitcoin, when you put it in there, 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. You don't lose any. They're not printing more of them. There will only be 21 million of them. I am fucking bullish on this. I just am, and I'm staying with it. And if people don't like it, you don't have to invest with us. I am bullish on the future of Bitcoin. I really am. Now, that being said, Jason, you're going to talk a little bit about valuation of other miners out there. This is just for information purposes only. We're not recommending BitNile.
No,
We're not telling you to buy it.
Nope.
We're not telling you to trade it. We're not telling you to be invested in BitNile in any way. Consult your financial advisor. We're just telling you what the market shows today.
We're seeing like some questions about mining, cost of mining, profitability. So I just wanted to bring a real life scenario to everyone, all 24 watchers. I guess that includes us too.
Yeah,
so.
you don't need to go there because this is going to be replayed a bunch of times.
Check
this is
this
going to
out.
be put on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And I understand your point of view. No one knew the show was happening today. This show is to be put on record about what we're feeling. That's why we're doing this.
Check this out. Let's break this down. Traders, investors, people that love Bitcoin, they're going to appreciate this 5-minute segment. What I have here is Form 8K filed by Marathon Digital Holding, ticker symbol MARA. And they've disclosed a recent acquisition. Some of you are thinking, hey, why are some of these large pure play crypto miners making large investments into the latest and greatest technologies? Well, I'm here to show you exactly what recently happened here with ticker symbol MARA. So if you scroll down here in the Form 8K, you're going to notice that the disclosure of the actual transaction with Bitmain was revealed. And it looks like Bitmain and Marathon agreed to execute a contract, whereas Marathon purchased 78,000, Todd, next generation Antminer S19 XP miners. And they're going to be delivered July, August, September, October, November, December of this year. The purchase price, $879,060,000. The purchase price shall be, now this is where it gets interesting. Now this is all public information. Now you guys can see what happens here when Bitmain, who they own about 80 or 85% of the market share, they can call the shots. And they do call the shots. This purchase price of almost $880 million shall be paid as followed to Bitmain. Follow me here. 35% of the total amount owed, $880 million, call it $880 million, will be paid up front within 2 days of executing the contract. Let's walk through this, everyone. $880 million times 35%. Ticker symbol MARA had to pay Bitmain $308 million up front without receiving a single machine, not even able to do any Bitcoin mining. Okay, I'm just trying to...
We had to pay as a percentage something similar to that too, though, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So actually, you're looking at this contract, and it's very front-loaded. My point is, Mara sees the future. In their opinion, they've assessed it. They've assessed the risk, and they've decided to basically make the largest purchase of ever, to my knowledge, from a public company of Bitcoin mining machines. So this is a massive purchase. This will give them, just this purchase alone gives them 10.9 exahash of mining capability. God. It takes them over 23 exahash. By far the largest mining outfit on the planet that I'm aware of publicly. There could be, now Dr. Frank Albo may say, hey, Jason, there's a miner in Uzbekistan that's putting out 40 exahash that's private. Or something to that matter. We've had this discussion.
Yeah.
But anyway, publicly traded company, 23 exahash upon execution. And this was disclosed recently. I did the math, so you don't have to. If we look at the actual 10.9 exahash, we break down the actual terahash, and we divide that by the cost. Marathon is paying approximately $80.5 per terahash for these machines. Okay? So we actually bought 4,600 of these machines, and so we understand what goes on as far as making the investment in these machines. They paid $80.50 per terahash. I'm not going to disclose what we paid, but I just wanted to break this down to show you guys that Marathon is going all in. 23 exahash deployed after the end of 2022. I just thought, for those of you that don't really look at AKs or filings, how very important it is to read the filings.
That's a ton of money.
It's
man.
a lot. It's almost $1 billion, dude. It's massive.
Yeah, the fun news on that, though, for you is how much did you say they paid up front?
They paid $308 million.
Well, I mean, I suppose the good news for them is they're going to make only $375 million for a full year of mining. That's without a difficulty increase of
Joe,
what that's
running the
do.
numbers. So you're telling me it's about a 11-month break even?
They'll make about
no, but that's
35.
on the down payment.
Yeah,
Oh,
they'll
that's
make
just
about
on the down payment.
They'll make about 35% back on the down payment.
Well, let's get into this. The
yeah.
shelf life of the XP could be 4 years.
It probably will be. I'm just doing the 10.8 exahash that you said, and
Sure.
and the revenue, not the
actual yeah.
Right, and remember, we're low right now. So
Well,
if
you gotta if Bitcoin, as you run out of Bitcoin, you get less and less to mine.
I'll actually give the ridiculous number: 18,774 Bitcoin mined a year at 10 exahash.
Good
yeah, but
God.
if you think about them being, if we got back to say 50,000 of Bitcoin, still a big number.
It's
right?
a ridiculous number at that
Now,
point.
when they made this, this was December 21st.
Okay.
Now, what was the price of Bitcoin on December 21?
Oh God.
I mean, it was
higher.
probably 50 plus, if I had to
yeah,
guess.
yeah, it was a lot.
December
higher.
21?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was a lot higher for sure.
Anyway, my point is, they're taking full risk on, and I wanted to show you the
Well,
breakdown.
that would value our miners at about about $220 million.
Yeah.
If you use that price, we'd be at 200 plus. Well, actually, if you just use that price today, and you talk, how many terahash do we have?
Let me show you what. I don't think we disclosed this. That's
No,
what
no, I know what we paid. Yeah, we have a profit, obviously.
okay.
But in terms of how many terahash do we have?
That's 644,000 terahash on the green miners. If we execute all and deploy and energize, it's 2.24 exahash.
Right. So
Okay?
that would be how much at $80? That'd value our miners at what price?
I mean, if 80 times 20, that's what, 200, carry the one.
46,500 on the 21st.
180 million?
180 million.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Okay.
okay. I'm comfortable.
Anyway, yeah.
Chris, any final thoughts before we sign off, my friend?
I mean, Jason's doing a lot of math, but I mean, the easier math is that the useful economic life of these miners is anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So take the midpoint of 4 years and multiply the annual Bitcoin production by 4 divided by cost, which will indicate that our basis in terms of, you know, when we mint coins here, you know, virgin coins, you know, our cost is effectively, you know, 20% or less of the given price. And if our price is at 40 grand, then our basis is at 10 grand.
Yep.
And if we hodl them, then, you know, the way I look at it, we're buying Bitcoin at a price that's 75% lower than the market at a minimum. And of course, that depends on, you know, difficulty, and it depends on price, and it depends on the other inputs that we talked about. So that's an easier way to, I think, process the information mentally.
Yeah, I like to show the big numbers just for, you know, just for the case. And another thing, Chris, we didn't mention, you guys, you probably both remember when Riot and Mara were trading for like $1, $2, and they're skyrocketed. Even now, Riot has pulled back. What do we say, 70%?
Yeah, it hit $13 yesterday.
Yeah, in 13 and
80%,
change,
80%
80%
pullback,
pullback. I mean, if you look at the chart, they haven't executed their game plan. Mara and Riot have most certainly been rewarded for their game plan. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Hey, Jason, special thanks for coming in today. Brett and Nick, appreciate it. We've got a new guy, KO, who's here. KO, just like, if you look up, they're going to put you on screen real quick. Can you do that for me?
Yeah,
just
dip
like
in there.
shave your head.
Can you dip in a little more?
Go in a little higher. Go a little, there you
there
go.
it is. Come on,
Wave
a
up there,
little
buddy.
Keep going.
A little
Come in,
further
come in.
in. There
Right
you go.
there.
There
That's
you
our
go.
new guy,
You're
KO.
up there. All right. KO does some background stuff for us. Joe, thank you for coming in. Christy, as always. Guys, check us out on social media, Todd Ault. You can like or follow us, obviously. The more you do, check out Community. Go and text on Community. Get in there and put in your number, so we'll let you know when we're going to go live. We're going to promote the Risk On Conference one more time. Please sign up for it. It's a pre-announcement. You don't have to pay. Just get on the list. We're going to accept payment when we're ready. We might accept it in Dogecoin or something. You never know.
Shiba.
Shiba Inu, whatever. You guys, we're just talking about Bitcoin today. It's a special. We appreciate you guys taking the time to talk about Bitcoin with us. We have our own thesis on why we're there. We're just talking about what's happening in the industry. We're pretty long. We want to stay long Bitcoin. Chris, thank you so much for taking the time.
I want to have Chris back. Can we do a DeFi, a quick and dirty DeFi next week where we drop into the
for
studio and get Chris back on?
Well,
here?
I think it's days away
Okay.
that we get the launch of Eternity.
Okay, good.
We're days away from a soft launch. And Chris, you know I'm going to go ape shit crazy when we can trade on Eternity. Yeah, it's
Well,
gonna.
we should bring some of our leaders from that group on. So
I
we
think
can
people
discuss
don't
that.
understand. We own 19.9% of a crypto exchange in Silicon Valley going live. You know, though you can, you just probably saw another Form 4. You can just keep,
Oh yeah, somebody bought the dip.
you can keep selling to
Hey,
me
who
if
bought
you
the
want
dip
to.
on Stock Twitch? There's a link.
I don't know. Who could it be?
Milton
Some
C.
guy,
Alt the
Milton Alt.
third. I don't know. Whatever.
This is a 10b5 plan. At the end of the year, I had to sign a 10b5 plan.
Yeah, of course.
So this is automatic.
This is
stuff
automatic.
because I'm not allowed to buy during the quiet period. So I had to put a plan in place, like a buyback plan, and then the plan for Alt Alpha.
Yep.
But whatever. It is what it is. You guys, thanks so much. We appreciate you guys being here. And as BM Trader says, don't sweat the small stuff. Christy, once again, thank you for being here. Short notice. I'm sure as a producer, she'd like to do a little more planning. But I just wanted to talk about Bitcoin. I love talking to Chris Wu. Love Jason. Love Joe. I love Chris Wu. Don't you like Chris Wu?
I want him to dig in on DeFi.
Yeah, he's
I'm
great.
pumped.
All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you, Chris.
See you, everybody. Thank you.